Hi.
I've got, this is an active thing for me.
Yeah.
Actually, I foreclosed on a property on a note in second position in McDonough, Georgia. It's about 30 minutes outside of Atlanta.
Okay.
It's timely because the foreclosure happened in July, and today, finally, we just got the eviction done because things were on delay because of COVID.
Right.
So I was in second position, and I foreclosed subject to a first.
Right.
And the balance of the first is fairly high. So the property is worth about $250,000.
Okay.
And the
And
balance of the first is the UPB is probably about $220,000.
have you been keeping it current this whole time?
No, it's in a COVID forbearance. I managed to get enough information from the first lien holder. It's in forbearance, but of course the balance is rising. So basically, I'm right up against, the value of the property is pretty close to the value of the first lien.
Right. I mean, if it really is worth 250, your closing costs what did you pay for this loan? Just out of curiosity, do you mind sharing?
Yeah, no, not at all. I paid about $10,000, but with legal costs and everything, I'm about $18,000, $19,000.
Okay. Fair enough.
Done with some
Right. So
cleanup I need to do.
Yeah, you don't really have equity. Have you made any contact with the first at all?
I have. Mr. Cooper's the servicer. I'm up against them authorizing me to share information. Obviously, in a perfect world, the first lien holder would, the borrower who still has this first lien in her name would authorize me to have access. She's not a fan of mine because I foreclosed on her. So that's not going to happen.
Right.
I did write a letter and said, hey, I'm the second lien holder. And for a minute, they were giving me some information. So I do have some basic info. But as of today, apparently I've been cut off. So I'm
You don't even know what the monthly payment would be and where to send it?
Yeah, I do. It's $810.51 a month. Yeah, P&I. I don't know the escrow portion.
That's really high. That is really high. 1810, and that doesn't even.
No. 810. 800.
Oh, 810.
I have. If I can share my screen, I have a spreadsheet. I can put some numbers out.
Can you make that happen, Axel?
All right. So the senior is here. So that's the P&I, the 810 bond. And it'd been modified, which I love, 480 months at 3.25. So I don't want to lose this.
Right.
So you might know where I'm headed is I'd love to sell this with a wrap.
Oh, totally.
I would love to sell this with a wrap. But here's my conundrum. Let's say I sell it with a wrap and I'm kind of messing with the numbers down here, like, I don't know, 8.75 or so. Like I said, it's worth about $250, and maybe because I'm offering financing, I can sell it a little bit above market.
What's rents for the area? What would it rent for?
Probably about $2,000, but it's in an HOA, and the HOA documents don't allow me to rent. But I see, yeah. But as far as establishing the payment, rent's $2,000.
So someone could easily afford. What's the rent? Yeah, what's PITI? How are you holding title, by the way? Is it in an entity, a trust, your personal name, what?
Entity, an LLC.
Do you have other assets in that same entity?
Not much, but a little bit.
So you could potentially sell the LLC instead of the property, potentially. I don't know.
Oh, no, I run my business out of that LLC, so I can't do that.
All right. So if you go, since you have the screen share, if I'm going 2,000 is what someone could afford. What's PITI HOA per month on a monthly proration? Oh, good, you've got one too.
I got one. So
do it.
How do you want me to do this?
Like 2,000 minus what the taxes, insurance, and HOA are per month.
Over there?
So make that a positive, okay, so what's P&I taxes an inch. I'm trying to look for it.
Oh, P&I is 81051.
Yeah, what's
And, well, let's
that's
see.
for advances?
Yeah, I'm looking for, might have that here.
HOA.
327, give or take 327.77.
Okay, and then HOA is $50, so you're at 377. So minus 377 from that.
From the 2000?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
And then make it a negative number and stick it in payment. Because that'd be
Nice
nice.
house. It's a 4-bedroom, newer house, and yeah, it's a nice house. So maybe.
So 250 minus 30, 220 would be your loan amount. So let's put that in PV, present value.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the interest rate they would agree to? I mean, what's their credit score? Do you know why they can't get a?
Oh, I don't know. It's not on the market yet. I just evicted today. We had to go through an eviction.
Okay. So my thing is, if someone can get a loan, it's cheap right now, right? So if they can't get a loan, but they're still good, strong buyers, they're not going to agree to probably that much if they're going to give you 30% down.
Yeah. So this is part of my conundrum. So to me, the audience is the people who are potentially good borrowers, but for some reason self-employed or whatever else, or just having trouble getting a loan from the bank. That's a little tough out.
So I totally agree. So if they're putting down 30%, though, it's fairly strong. I would think you could get 2-3 points over bank loan, whatever that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you.
8.25 on this price point. I don't think the numbers are going to make sense. I mean, you could try. But
So you think I'm high on the interest rate?
Let's see what happens. Put 8.75 in just for kicks and giggles. See how many months that turns into. 613 months. Nope, too long. Now put in 480 just to see if you can match what you have. 480. 40-year loan, put in 480 and see what the rate is on that with what they can afford. Okay. Actually, that's better than I thought. How about 360? How about a 30-year? So I would guess 8's going to be probably the top you're going to get, just depending. And if you can get someone in, the only thing is you have to have all these disclosures about, hey, so the loan. If you do, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Yeah, I figured I do. I've never done the wrap before. I know about it in concept.
Right.
Hey, Don, this is Sri. Can I suggest something? I'm actually doing
please.
this on one of the other properties. Hey, Marco.
Hey, Sri.
What you could do is actually create 2 notes, one with an LTV of 75%. This is again seller financing, and the other one would be 25%. So check with FNAC or Grand Bank what their terms are of buying this loan. You don't have to see. I mean, FNAC, I checked. My numbers are a little different. This is for a property in Connecticut. I did 70% LTV on the first loan. Second loan was right around 22%. So I'm going to keep the 22% loan. I'm not going to sell that. I'm selling the first lien at 70% LTV, close to par. I haven't sold it yet. I just
What was the face rate? What was the face rate, Sri?
The face value of the note or the?
Yeah, the 70% first.
190.
No, the face rate, the interest rate.
Oh, the interest rate, the original note or the one that I did?
The one you did.
8.5.
So they're buying it at 8.
Yeah.
But credit score is what? What was the credit score?
Credit score is high 600s.
Okay. There you go. But the point is, Sri, I'm confused here because he can't make a 75% first when his existing loan is 88% LTV.
So the first lien is 190. They put 20,000 down.
Do you have a wrap? Are you doing a wrap, Sri?
Yeah. There's a first position note of 188.
Okay, so in your case, you can do it because your 70% first loan is bigger than the existing lien, whereas
Yeah.
Marco's lien is 88% loan to value. That makes it
Oh,
pretty.
I didn't catch that part. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I like knowing that. Basically at 8.5%, 8%.
That's what they said. So I didn't close on it. So I'll update it when I get there. But
You know,
so
that's pretty good.
yeah, I talked to FNAC, I talked to Grand Bank and what their terms are. FNAC was more favorable than Grand Bank. So based on that, I structured my first and second.
Well, good for you. Yeah. Anyone know how long it's taking FNAC to close these days? Usually there were like 8 weeks. Grand Bank can be a hell of a lot longer.
I've got one with them right now, Don. The bottleneck seems to be all the title companies.
Title company.
Themselves moves pretty fast, but it gets out to title company for the commitment, and sometimes they aren't looking at it.
That's true. Yeah. Abby and I were trying to, it was like a teeny little one, and it's taken like 5 weeks to get the title company just on this teeny little deal we were throwing in our IRAs, you know.
Yep. Yeah, they don't even apologize. They're like, listen, we're slim. We're not looking at this.
Where's the Southern hospitality?
Yeah, exactly.
Don,
Yeah.
So can
one
I?
question.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
One question. So how can Mario wrap when he's not even in contact with the first lien holder? Like, how's he gonna get that? You know, how's he gonna do the first still with a wrap?
Shh. I'm gonna do it.
It's
I'm
just
gonna do it.
It's chutzpah. It's you just do it and see how, I don't know. Because like with the worst case scenario is they're going to decide to try to call it. I mean, they could have called it by now. They could have done something. They haven't. A lot of these lenders, traditional lenders, are really stuck in the mud, it seems to me. You know, I mean, a lot of institutional paper can't even foreclose, do anything these days is what I hear. Is that true out there, people?
Depends on the county.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't know who was just asked that question. So the Connecticut note that I just sold, I actually foreclosed. So this was a landlord that I foreclosed on, and the tenant had a 3-year lease option. Don, I discussed this with you way back 2 years back on one of your calls. So what happened is, for the past 2 years, I foreclosed and the tenant was living in the property. Chase knows I have foreclosed because they got a notice, but they never called the note due. Even today, they didn't call the due.
Right.
They just kept getting the first payment. I kept it for 2 years as a rental. But, you know, Connecticut law, if you have a rental agreement, that rental agreement was for 3 years. And if the tenant is paying on time, I cannot evict the tenant.
Right.
So I had to keep them, and the lease actually
You know,
expired
it's
September.
It's not especially fast to foreclose in Connecticut, right? I kind of had
It takes about a year.
a
takes
year.
about a year.
I didn't like their process because there's all these sort of, oh, they can do this or they can do that, and it might extend it for another 6 months or something. I wasn't warm and fuzzy. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Don, can I pitch one idea that I had? With the balance being so close on the first to the value of the house, what I don't want to do is go through all this and get them to agree to an 8 or 8.75% interest rate, and then a year figure out how to refinance and pay me off. I really want to keep this going for a while. I had this idea. What if market value is 250, but I listed at 270, and then I say in the note I agree to give them a $20,000 rebate on the note balance after 2 years of on-time payments.
If they will,
If
2
they-
years on-time payment.
Yep.
I still don't know that you'd sell that note at par to FNAC.
I don't want to sell it. I want to keep this, and I want to keep the wrap,
Well,
and make $700 or $800 a month if I can.
Yeah, that's great, and you have to balance that. That's the reward, but then you have the risk, which is substantial if you don't have control of that first lien. So that's kind of a wild card. So you go, how far can I run this? Is this really a win-win with the buyer? Or you might just take your freaking 30 grand and go, look, I got out with my 19 that I've got invested. I made 11,000 and I they can take the risk and go with it as long as it's fully disclosed. You know what I mean? Like someone who's like getting you out, you got a profit. Are they, you like, so what happens? What happens if they do call the note? What if they file foreclosure all of a sudden? What are you going to do about it? Or is the buyer going to be left with that nightmare to deal with?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see if I can refinance.
Yeah, so if you
Probably
can
not at a
solve-
great rate.
if you can solve the problem, great, that's fine. Then you deserve that. But if you're leaving them with if you don't have the ability to do that and you're leaving them with a potential nightmare, that risk and reward needs to be maybe just looked at. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm really opinionated. I just.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point.
You know, because like if I knew that I was taking a risk, like it's funny, 3-4 years ago, I took this risk. Teresa and I did it with our self-directed 401ks, and this is one of those weird things where probably in another couple of years I can do a quiet title action. Like the lender's been like silent for like years, and so we're just renting it. We fixed it up. We're renting it. The loan is bigger than the value of the property, but they're just quiet. They're gone. And so we're taking the risk. We fixed it up and say, well, I hope we can rent it long enough just to get our seed capital back. And then anything beyond that is a bonus. But like we know that the risk is high, but the reward's high. I don't even know why I brought that up. But there's situations that are weird that are okay. But as long as there's this sort of, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's relevant. No, it's actually a good example. It's a good example. Sometimes my creativity gets the better of me. I don't take the 10,000 foot view of, yeah, but should I? I could, but should I?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, that was a great scenario. I love that you brought that up. Sri, I'm glad you're on. I like it when you're.
Thank you, Sri. Thank you for chiming in.
Yeah, so we're basically got about 10 minutes left. Does anyone have a hot potato sitting in their lap that they want to toss out to the group?
I do. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. I own a condo outside of D.C.
Okay.
It's become kind of it's become a headache a little bit. You know, I have the management. I'm having problems with the common area, and I would like to see what other options I have. Could I actually do seller financing to the tenant that's in there? They're paying on time, but like I said, we've had issues with water coming in from the common area, and the management is not that responsive. And I am kind of tired of dealing with it, and I know the tenant is tired of dealing with it, but they actually like the unit. So I'm trying to find a way where if I had to let it go, or if it became like, this is it, I'm tired of dealing with this, I can actually seller finance it to them or seller finance it to maybe another investor.
Are you hoping that we just run a few numbers to go like just for kicks and giggles and see what comes up, or what?
I would like that, but I don't have the actual comps for it. But I just thought I'd throw it out there.
How about we just like make up something? We'll just
Okay.
How about that?
So,
We'll just do a little let's pretend just for the concepts, and we'll get close. We won't like get hung up on the exacts. So basically, what did you buy this? I'm sorry, it's a condo in the DC area?
it's a condo. It's a 1-bedroom on the bottom floor. I actually bought it for 105 in 2008, like right before everything fell apart, and the equity actually cut in half. I haven't looked at the comps probably, I would say, in the last 2 or 3 years. So it might be back at 105, but I really don't know at this point.
But your guess is it's you're taking a loss after closing costs and all that. If you sold it for cash, you'd probably be taking a loss.
Yep.
Except for you rented it out all this time, so you're probably okay. It's not terrible. But what do you have a loan on it?
I do. I'm actually at believe I'm at 89. That's my balance. I pay maybe 660 a month.
Um, so what was the original, what was the original loan amount?
105.
Oh, it was 100% financed? Oops.
It was. It actually was. I
Is this
actually
like a
was.
VA or something, or just one?
It wasn't a VA. I just had great credit at the time,
And
and
you
they
saw the mirror, so they said, "Yay, you get a loan." Okay.
yeah.
I mean, the interest rate,
My interest rate is at like 4.75,
was that a 30-year fixed?
30-year fix. Yep.
We're gonna do 360 here. This is 0 because okay. So is that your 547's the P&I, and maybe tax and insurance brings you up to something else? Is that
I would say so. I'm at like 660. I know I pay like 660 a month for the mortgage.
so probably your taxes and insurance are in there, HOA separate, I'm guessing.
HOA is separate.
And how much is that?
I pay 375.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that, but it was my first property. I didn't know any better. So.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so what's your renter paying?
My renter is paying 1175.
Okay, so basically you don't have much juice in there. If you don't have any big expenses, you squeak it out without going negative, correct?
Correct.
How much cash could they put together? They want to buy it, you said?
I haven't even asked them. I'm just kind of tired of dealing with the management there. So I'm actually breaking even on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean it hasn't been all out nightmare, but it's getting to that point. But
Yeah.
I haven't run it past them. I don't even know what the comps are right now. So but if we went with this scenario, I mean
Well, really, for someone who's a renter who wants to be an owner and can't get their own finance, if they can just afford it and now they own it instead of rent it, I think that's kind of nice. So, but basically, they're going to have to cover, we know we can't really increase it that much. So basically, it would almost be just, can you, even if it was 100, they've got to at least cover this and get. So basically, to me, it seems like on affordability, and anyone can, if I'm missing something on the fly here, you can't really milk this too much harder. Maybe that extra 100 or 150 of what he's paying in rent, he's going to need on little fixes here and there. So it's like, how much money can he put down? And then more out of that. I mean, I would trade more down payment over an interest rate spread at this point, just so he's really, really, really committed. Do you think? So I would want to say, look, do you have 10 grand? And we'll call it good and just let him, you can wrap with identical numbers almost. You might squeeze in a few remainder payments on the end maybe, but in the beginning, I don't know that you can juice much more out, but it would be great if you could put down 10 grand, wouldn't it? And then it feels like the owner.
and I'm not really concerned about getting too much from it. I would just like to break even and kind of walk away from it. But
yeah. So what if he gave you 10 grand and you said, what's your 90, and I'm going to do it at 5, and you're going to pay that. How much length of time do you have on your loan?
I have no clue. I brought it in 2008. It's a 30-year loan. I would say probably until
If you're 12 years in, this is 20. So you look at this. So you would have remainder pay off, even if you didn't create even if you kept it at, so you have a quarter point spread here in this example. but you're not going to make a monthly thing, but you can see that in 18 years, you're going to be free and clear, and they still owe you for 23 years. You'll have 5 years worth of this payment coming in. So if you could get 10 grand down now, you've made it very affordable for them to own it. 277 months from now, but you still have 5 years at the end without making this less affordable for them in the meantime. Does that make sense where I'm going with this?
It does.
Yeah, I just don't know if it follows, because sometimes everything makes sense in my head, but it doesn't to anybody else. So, but I think it's that's a reasonable thing. But I'd want the biggest down payment they can put. You make it affordable for them, and you keep probably 4, 5, 6 years on the end after your loan's paid off, provided it doesn't get called, which, there's ways to try to. That's a fair deal to me. It's a fair deal to me.
I'll definitely think it over. Maybe I will run it past them. I know, like I said, we've had some issues with water coming into the unit, but they actually like being there. So
Yeah, so they're part amphibian. I mean, this is a good fit, maybe.
yeah, and this is their first unit. I don't know if they're looking to buy anything, but I know they like being there because it's close to work. Other than the water issues that it seems like we.
Yeah, that's another reason, that I wouldn't try to juice the monthly out of it too much, and make sure they have a little reserve. So, because homeownership's different than renting something. People sometimes when they're first new homeowners, they don't set enough reserves aside, and then all of a sudden they can't make their mortgage payment the first time there's a hiccup of some kind. So I like my people to have extra room in their monthly budget and some savings that I don't want to take all of their savings, because that doesn't help me. Like it's nice in the beginning, and then it can turn into not so nice at the end. So anyway, thank you for bringing that up. I hope that helped a little bit. It's fun to think about these things.
Yeah, I appreciate you listening to my woes. So
yeah, well, yeah, that's part of you're taking your seminars and paying for your education. It's just a natural part of the process. So good for being involved. You know what? Until you're really in it, roll up your sleeves and get in it, you don't learn anything. And usually we learn more out of our painful experiences than our epic big wins that we do right away. So I think you're doing great. So just keep going and just create some lemonade out of the lemons.
Yeah. Hey.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. I think we're going to wrap up real quick. For anyone who doesn't know, you can, these links to resources on the Note Queen thing, servicer links, the calculators that we've been using tonight, software tools, places to shop for loans or discounted notes, blah, blah, blah. Other people, Walter, seeing his name on here just reminds me that he is the one back in the day that, at some point, because I was this RN and mama of all these little bops and, going to courses on the weekends, finally just jumped into it with both feet. And so the note business, and then I figured out how owner financing and notes have this little dance they do, and that just became my little fascination. And then, but still I'm going, well, sometimes it's nice to get a loan, should I ever try to get a loan? Anyway, he is the first one that talked to me about somewhere you just got to draw a line in the sand, and you just say, I am never, and this is not right for everyone, but for me, it was like, I am never going to ask a bank for a loan. That's just me, because then I can prove to anybody else who doesn't have that line in the sand that's important to them that you can do an awful lot of business without ever asking a bank for a loan. So everything that I've done has been owner financing, either buying or selling once in a while, cash with hard money lender partners of mine once in a while like that, but a lot of times then we carry out of it. So back to the concept of line in the sand, I just want to leave you with these thoughts, going back to the Constitution and where's your line in the sand? We have a lot of assaults globally on our freedoms, on our civil liberties, in the rights that I feel that God gave us. And now we're begging petty tyrants called governors, some of them, to beg them for what kind of, oh, can we please still go to our gyms? Can we please still go to church? If what's happening doesn't really shock you, then you live in a really great place, maybe, or something. But like when strip clubs stay open, but churches don't, that's obvious. You need to go to church naked because then you can go to church. I don't know. I'm just saying there's some, where's your line in the sand? Mine is now. To me, civil disobedience, it's a patriotic duty to not comply when our liberties, when tyranny is abounding, when unlawful, unconstitutional mandates with no lawful basis and no scientific basis. And from my research and, my grandfather doctor and my father doctor, he was never really in my life, which was kind of a lot for me to deal with, I guess. You're always dealing with something or other, but I really wish actually, I feel like his spirit is with me now, because I know if he was alive now, he would be speaking with the voices that are silent. So when you have these, because I'm a nurse and because the political thing's important to me, but the health thing is more important to me than anything else. So I'm going to just say, look at when this scientist says this thing, and this scientist says this thing, this doctor says this thing, and this doctor says this thing, I go, where's the motivation? Follow the money. What's the benefit that this particular narrative is getting? Oh, I see. They stand to make millions and billions from the vaccine, and they have no liability. So if they cause injury, who cares to fast track it? Because if people get sick and hurt, they can't be sued. So they make all the money and then we the people pay for the vaccine injuries or other things that they do. Whereas what the people that are being, just so much censorship going on, and typically truth over time is what gets censored. So what is their objective in trying to purport these dangerous false hopes? What do they get out of it? Do they get a lot of money? No, they don't. They get censored, they get ridiculed, they get there's no big benefit. So to me, I think that's an important part of really looking at what's the benefit to the particular narrative. So things real quick that I look at, basically no more fake news. The whole scam just fell apart. The COVID testing has a lot of false positives, a lot of problems. They can basically turn up the cases and turn them down at will by how they run that PCR test. So basically the case-demic, okay, whatever. And I also know that there's therapeutics that are being suppressed there again, because the big money is in the vaccines and then the narrative and the control that they can exert upon a population that is afraid most of the time. Highwire, like these guys, new case study, 6,000 people double-blind. It's Denmark, I want to say. Just brand new out, and there's no difference between wearing masks versus not wearing masks. So is it about our health, these mask mandates, or is it about control? Sweden has never, they did some mistakes, they weren't perfect, but basically no lockdowns, no masks, no vaccine. They're flattening out, they're doing fine. They don't have all these other collateral damages of all the small businesses being down, extra suicides, kids being afraid, having night sweats. I mean, there's so, like, it seems like in the narrative today, all we care about is supposed COVID deaths. How about all the deaths and devastation to other people? Oh, that doesn't matter. It's just a really bizarre narrative that people can get wrapped up. You know, renowned pathologist calls coronavirus the greatest hoax ever perpetrated. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. The amount of articles that basically are censored, like this one's not even loading. I can't even share these links on the legacy media site. So that tells me something. Why are they afraid of open debate? If we're having such a terrible problem globally, why don't we have every idea and every resource and try everything? Why not? I would say it goes back to what they're trying to do is their Agenda 2030, get the whole world on its knees, and so that we're just begging just to, you know, have enough to eat, have a roof over your head, etc. So go out there, fight the good fight in whichever way is true to your soul. I appreciate you so much. I love you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Take care. Thanks again for being here.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thanks,
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, everybody.